Antiques in Shizhou by Aniketh. Microcampus is a program founded by Mr. Taffel and Ms. Mai. During this program, they take 16 students, 8 students from the Pudong campus and 8 students from the Puxi campus of the Shanghai American School, to the village of Shizhou for 1 month. During this 1 month, the students are required to research an inquiry topic that they choose before going on the trip. My inquiry project was Antiques in Shizhou. I chose this topic because I wanted to learn more about Chinese history. Before going on the trip, I did some background research. Here is a sample of some of the background information I gained from this research. The Yunnan province is a province in the far southwest of China that borders many different countries. Those include Vietnam, Laos, and Burma. The province of Yunnan spans approximately 394,000 kilometers. As many might know, China has a history of what archaeologists say to be dated back to 250,000 to 22.4 million years ago. During that time, the Chinese have made and developed many remarkable antiques and methods to make them. One of the most common pieces of antiques that many will find in the Yunnan province is called Yunnan white and blue. Yunnan white and blue is a type of pottery that is designed with porcelain, decorated under glaze with blue pigment, which is in most cases cobalt oxide. The Yunnan white and blue was first excavated in 1960 near the Yunnan cremation burial grounds. The first blue and white was discovered in Yushi. The cobalt blue decorations are said to have come from the Middle East. The Chinese, however, said that the technique was fully developed in China. The Yunnan potters started developing this type of pottery over 1,000 years ago. While researching my project, I came up with a thesis statement for my final product. My thesis statement is, in order to understand the evolution of Chinese funerary urns, I must investigate pieces from the past Tang Dynasty, Yuan Dynasty, and Ming Dynasty. Upon arrival in Shizhou and starting my inquiry project once again, my first step was to find contacts that I can go to and rely on for help on my topic. The contacts that I found were Mr. Du, Ms. Ma, Lao Ma, and Mr. Yang. These 4 contacts are professional antique dealers, and they are experts in antiques. Therefore, it was in my best interest to go to them whenever I needed help and to interview them and ask them questions about my topic. The Tang Dynasty. The Tang Dynasty is a dynasty that lasted from 618 to 907 AD. The Tang Dynasty was an imperial dynasty and founded by the Li family. The capital of the Tang Dynasty's empire was Chang'an, or current-day Xi'an. The important events in the Tang Dynasty are as followed. The first one is when monk Tang went to India to adapt Buddhism in 628 AD. The second one is when the Tang Dynasty defeated the Turkish in 657 AD. The third one is when Empress Wu dethroned Dong in 684 AD and replaced him with his brother Dan. Next one was Dongzhong's exile from the Tang Dynasty Empire in 685 AD. And lastly, Empress Wu became the first empress to rule over China and started the Zhou Dynasty in 690 AD. Funerary urns in the Tang Dynasty. Some of the main elements of a funerary urn include design, as in glaze, decoration, color, as in warm or cold colors, and the material used. For glaze, during the Tang Dynasty, there was not much glaze on their funerary urns or any of their pottery. For decoration, the decoration of your funerary urns depended on how high ranking you were in society. For the color, according to my research with many of the antique dealers and my contacts, during the Tang Dynasty, they used a lot of warm colors. The material used. All funerary urns during the Tang Dynasty were made out of clay. They used funerary urns in the Tang Dynasty as 1, transportation of bodies, 2, they were used by the rich, 3, they thought it was cleaner, and 4, because of Buddhist influence. Now 1, transportation of bodies. A lot of people would come to the kingdom of the Tang Dynasty to trade. If one of those traders had died in the Tang Dynasty, they would cremate that person's body and send the ashes back to his hometown in a funerary urn. This method was much more convenient than having to carry a casket back for miles and miles on end. Funerary urns in the Tang Dynasty were only affordable by the rich. The rich used them because they had the mindset that it was cleaner than to use caskets. Historians think that the starting of the funerary urns was because of the Buddhist influence on the Tang Dynasty. The Tang Dynasty was influenced by Buddhism. The Yuan Dynasty. The Yuan Dynasty was founded by Kublai Khan in 1271 AD. The Yuan Dynasty was the first foreign dynasty of China. The Yuan Dynasty ended in 1368. Although Kublai Khan had founded the dynasty, in the imperial records, he wrote the founder of the dynasty as Genghis Khan, his grandfather. Funerary urns in the Yuan Dynasty. There's quite a bit of glaze going on in the Yuan Dynasty. As of decoration, all the Yuan Dynasty funerary urns were decorated with the leaf with the Mongol symbol on them. This was a way of telling whether or not the pot belonged to the Mongol Yuan Dynasty or to a different dynasty. As of colors, there was a mix of warm or cold colors in the Yuan Dynasty. The material used to make the urn was mainly clay. The funerary urns in the Yuan Dynasty were used by all people. Once again, they were also used to transport bodies back to their hometown. And this time, the funerary urns had a lot of Mongolian influence on them. Many people think that the reason why the Mongols continued using the funerary urns in the Yuan Dynasty was because the people had high demand for them and because of religious reasons. The Mongols had a huge impact on the Yuan Dynasty since they were rulers of it. During this time, they influenced the Japanese. The Ming Dynasty. The Ming Dynasty started as the revolt on the Mongols. The locals of the Yuan Dynasty started revolting against the Mongolians. The Ming Dynasty is also called the ruling dynasty of China. It lasted from 1368 AD to 1644 AD. It was ruled by the Han Chinese. Important events in the Ming Dynasty. The capital of the Ming Dynasty was nominated as Jinlin in 1368 AD. During 1405 AD, it was the end of the Mongol Empire. During 1449 AD, Yingzhong was captured. After pleading for peace, Yingzhong returned to China in 1459 AD. During 1477 AD, the Ming Dynasty built Qichang. The end of the Ming Dynasty was when Sizhu suicided by hanging himself. Funerary urns during the Ming Dynasty. The Ming Dynasty is well known for its high variety of funerary urns. There was a lot of glaze going on during the Ming Dynasty, and for decorations, once again, it depended on how high in society you were. For the color, there were a lot of cold and warm colors being used for all pots. The material used for the urns was clay. Once again, they used the funerary urns, once again, because it was easy to transport the body back to its hometown. During the Ming Dynasty, the popularity of these funerary urns started decreasing, and they started to use more caskets. Only the very rich, once again, were using funerary urns. Buddhism was very much influenced in the Ming Dynasty. The Han religion was also influenced. The Ming Dynasty influenced the Japanese and the Vietnamese. What have I learned during my project? During my project, I learned about Chinese history, the basics of Chinese antiques, different elements in an antique. I learned about the Chinese funerary urns, different types of funerary urns, and different designs, and the much to be learned history of Chinese funerary urns. While coming to Shizhou, I hope to learn about Chinese history and look into the different Chinese artifacts and focus and learn about one certain artifact. I learned a lot about Chinese history. I was able to look into different Chinese artifacts and focus and learn about my one certain artifact. My thesis statement is, in order to understand the evolution of Chinese funerary pots, I must investigate pieces from the past Tang Dynasty, Yuan Dynasty, and Ming Dynasty. During my project, I was able to achieve what I wanted to achieve. I wanted to achieve being able to learn about Chinese history, being able to learn about Chinese antiques, and being able to focus on one antique and learn as much as I could about that. During my project, I learned a variety of things, such as how to tell how old an antique is, how to tell and identify the different elements of an antique, and how to examine an antique close enough to be able to identify if the price the antique dealer is giving me is good or not. My topic and everything that I learned in my topic will be able to help me out in my actual life the next time I go to an antique dealer. This will be because I will be able to identify the different elements of an antique and be able to identify if the price an antique dealer is giving me is reasonable and if the facts that the antique dealer is giving me is true.